we're going to dive deep into the details of Disney's terms of service. Now, Disney isn't just any company, it's a massive entertainment giant with services ranging from streaming on Disney Plus to the magical experiences at their theme parks. Each of these services comes with its own set of terms, and while they might seem straightforward, there are elements within these agreements that could significantly impact consumers. The scope of Disney's terms of service. When you sign up for one of Disney's services, whether it's Disney Plus, Hulu, or ESPN Plus, you're agreeing to a broad range of terms that cover more than just the service you're directly using. By accepting the terms of service, you're bound by terms that apply across Disney's vast array of offerings, creating a complex web of obligations. For example, imagine you sign up for Disney Plus to stream your favorite shows. What you might not realize is that the terms of service you agreed to could also extend to other Disney-owned platforms like ESPN Plus or Hulu, even if you don't use them. This means that a rule you break on one platform could potentially affect your access to others under Disney's umbrella. Arbitration clauses, waiving your right to sue. One of the most significant and perhaps most concerning aspects of Disney's terms of service is the inclusion of arbitration clauses. These clauses essentially mean that if a dispute arises, you're agreeing to resolve it through arbitration rather than in court. Arbitration is a private process where a neutral third party makes a decision that's usually final. Let's talk about what this means for you as a consumer. Firstly, by agreeing to arbitration, you're also waiving your right to participate in class action lawsuits. So if Disney's actions negatively affect a large group of people, you wouldn't be able to join forces with others to file a lawsuit. Instead, you'd be on your own pursuing arbitration, which can be costly, time-consuming, and less likely to end in your favor. Secondly, decisions made in arbitration are often final, offering limited options for appeal. This is in stark contrast to the traditional court system, where you have the right to appeal if you believe the decision was wrong. Lastly, there's the issue of bias. Critics of arbitration often point out that the process can be biased in favor of corporations, especially when the company has a role in selecting the arbitrator. This can potentially lead to unfair outcomes for consumers. For example, let's say Disney overcharges you for several months. Naturally, you want to sue to get your money back, but because of the arbitration clause in the terms of service, you can't take Disney to court. Instead, you're forced into arbitration, where the odds may not be in your favor. Content ownership and licensing, granting Disney control. Another critical point in Disney's terms of service revolves around content ownership and licensing. If you create or share content on Disney's platforms, you could be granting Disney extensive rights to use that content in ways you might not have anticipated. The terms of service often includes clauses that give Disney a broad license to use, modify, distribute, and display any content you upload or share. What's more, this license is typically perpetual, irrevocable, and royalty-free, meaning Disney can use your content indefinitely without compensating you. For example, let's say you create a Disney-themed fan video and upload it to a community page on Disney Plus. According to the twos, Disney could use your video in their marketing campaigns without paying you or giving you credit. They could even modify your video in ways you never intended. And because you agreed to the terms of service, there's little you can do about it. Termination of service. Disney's right to cut you off. Disney's terms of service usually includes clauses that allow the company to terminate or suspend your account under various circumstances, often at their sole discretion. This means Disney could cut off your access to their services without much notice or explanation. There are typically two main conditions under which Disney might terminate your service. The first is if you violate any terms of the agreement. For instance, if you share your Disney Plus account with others or use the service for commercial purposes, Disney could terminate your access immediately. The second is what's known as discretionary termination. Even if they haven't violated any specific terms, Disney reserves the right to terminate your account if they deem your behavior harmful to their services or other users, or even if they decide to discontinue the service altogether. For example, you might be a loyal Disney Plus subscriber, but one day you find your account has been terminated without warning. Upon inquiry, you learn that Disney decided to terminate accounts that had been inactive for a certain period, even though you had paid for. According to the terms of service, Disney is within its rights to do this, and you might not be entitled to a refund. Modifications to the terms of service. Disney's right to change the rules. Another crucial aspect of Disney's terms of service is the company's right to modify the terms at any time. This means Disney can change the rules after you've already agreed to them, and you're bound by those new terms unless you stop using the service. Typically, the terms of service states that Disney will notify users of any changes, but the method of notification is usually at their discretion. It could be an email, a pop-up when you log in, or simply posting the updated terms on their website. What's more, the terms of service often includes a clause stating that your continued use of the service after the changes have been made constitutes acceptance of the new terms. So even if you don't explicitly agree to the changes, by continuing to use Disney Plus, you're bound by them. For example, Disney updates its terms of service to include a new arbitration clause that wasn't there when you originally signed up. You don't receive an email notification and continue using the service as usual. Later, when a dispute arises, you discover that you're now bound by the arbitration clause because you didn't stop using the service after the changes were made. Privacy and data collection. What Disney knows about you. Like many companies, Disney collects a vast amount of data about its users. This can include everything from your viewing habits on Disney Plus to your purchasing history at Disney parks and stores. The terms of service and associated privacy policies usually outline what data is collected, how it's used, and with whom it's shared. Disney may share your data with third-party advertisers, business partners, and affiliates. They might also use cookies and other tracking technologies to monitor your online activity, both on and off their services. For example, you might notice that ads for Disney merchandise seem to follow you around the internet, even when you're not using Disney services. This happens because Disney uses tracking technologies to monitor your online activity and target you with ads based on your browsing history. When you signed up, you agreed to this data collection, and your options for opting out are limited.